Okay, so now I want to show you a method, a string method called format. String.format is very useful. Widely used for a very long time. Somewhat recently, it's been replaced by a better way of doing things. I'm going to show you format, and then I'm going to show you the better way, okay? Because it's good to know both. Someday you might be reading something, you see string.format, you need to know what it is and what it means. But it allows you to insert variables into text. So why does that matter? Remember when I told you that you could do this and you could add a string plus a string and it just smushes them together? That's convenient. And I can also say 9 plus 10. What do you suppose that's going to print? 19. Okay, now notice that I did not put quotes around those. I used the integers. So 9.5 plus 10, and a float plus an integer is going to give me 19.5. If I put quotes around these, what do you think it's going to do? String plus a string. What happens with a string plus a string? It smushes them together. Okay, so here's a... Well, if I put that inside a string, it'll just print out the whole string. The plus sign isn't in a string, but here's a tricky one. 9.5 as a string plus the integer 10. What's it going to give me there? It's going to give me an error because Python doesn't know what to do when I have a string and I add a number to it. Now, this sort of makes sense to us on some kind of a level where we could figure out what it means, but it's the same thing for Python as if I'm saying Bill plus 10. It doesn't make any sense. It's like, that's just a list of characters, and you're asking me to add the number 10 to it. I don't know how to do that. So depending on the data type, we may have a problem. But what if I wanted to add the number 10? Maybe I wanted to say something like Bill is 10 years old. So if I wanted to say something like this, where I say Bill is 10 years old, but this isn't a string, because maybe I have a program that automatically changes that number each year. It changes it from 10 to 11 to 12. It's like a birthday tracker, right? So this has to be that data type because I need to be able to make that number grow each year. But then I want to print it out in a string. But if I try to do that, it's going to get really pissed at me. So what do? This is where string format comes in. What string format allows us to do is to insert any other data type we want to anywhere in it. Ooh, you okay? They're trying to kill people back there. So it allows us to insert a number or any other type of object into a string without having any data conflict. It's really fast and easy. And here's how it would look in code, an example. So let's say I have str age equals 10. And in this string, what I need to do is, let's just create a string here. And I'm going to say str age, years old. And then I'm going to say, actually, I'm not going to say str age here. I'm just going to say age. And I'm going to say format. And I'm going to say age equals str age. And then I'm going to print str text. Okay, so I'm using a string.format on this string. And I'm saying in the spot that's labeled age, we're going to put that variable, whatever's in that container. So now when I print that out, it prints it no problem, even though age here is a number, not a string. So I can do that. Okay, so let's say I have two spots here. There's one here and two here. That means I have to do two substitutions that look like this. And I can run this. You see it gives me an error because I don't have anything inside this. Now, a couple things. These are not parentheses, okay? This is not a parentheses. This is, let me see if I can't zoom in much more on it, but it's what's called a curly brace. Okay, a curly brace. It's one of those ones that looks like a sideways mustache, kind of. Okay, curly brace. On my keyboard, they're shift and shift square bracket keys. So curly brace defines a placeholder inside a string that you intend to format. Now, if I want to add mom age, I would put a comma at age equals str age, and then I would say mom age equals 70. So I can put a variable there, or I can just put that value straight into it. And now when I run that, it works just fine. So it takes whatever the value is here, the placeholder, and puts whatever I assign to it over here. Now, format requires me to identify the same number of values to put in as I do placeholders. Here is the page for format, which you can find online if you forget how to use it. But there's a couple other ways you can do string.format placeholders. You can do empty ones, in which case the values will just fill in the order you specify them. Indexed starts at 0, 1, 2, and counts, does kind of the same thing as empty. Or you can do the named ones, which is what I just showed you. So I can, if I wanted to, have these be empty. And then in format, I just list the variables in order that I want to put them in. That works just fine also. It can get a little confusing though, because now I have to remember what order to put things in over here. If you have a longer string that you're substituting into, it can be tricky. So string format is very useful. However, there's a better way, okay? Okay, the names have to match exactly. And also, if you're naming those, notice that I didn't use str age here. I had to create another name for the placeholder in each one of those. It's just a lot of extra work. And again, it's not very clean. It's not very easy to use. It would be nicer if I could just put the variable straight into it.